Justin Tilley and Eric Sharp. Hey!
Justin,
We made it.
we made it. We should have done a little jazz
How you
number
doing?
there instead. I'm doing well.
Yeah. Good. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. It is Friday, June 12th, episode 91. Creeping towards 100 here.
Approaching the big centennial episode here, which we'll announce more stuff about that later.
Let's just get through. Let's get through Apartmentalize. Let's get through New Orleans.
Wait, is that what's happening?
No, I'm saying us.
I know.
I can't even think about episode 100 until I'm through.
I know. I'll see. I'll make you think about it next week when I see you. But hopefully
on Friday we can start talking about it. Yeah,
in New Orleans. But while we kick our show off, before we bring on our guest or talk about any highlights, we had some interesting info on New Orleans, right?
Yeah. So this one compliments of a couple people, but the folks at Renew did a little bit of research and asked the question, does New Orleans have one of the oldest apartment buildings in the United States? Some
and survey
research
says what?
Yeah, so the research was done by basically preservationists. Preservation Magazine brought this question up. An article by Robert Cangelosi Jr. Just talking about the Pont buildings being the oldest apartment buildings in the United States. And if you basically look at
just for our editorial, is that what this is? The Pentable buildings?
What we are looking at here is a photo courtesy of the Library of Congress. So these were buildings prepared by the architect James Gallier in 1849. Okay. So kind of a
nice,
interesting. There was a baroness.
Like four stories. It looks like 4 stories, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I don't. Yeah. As we know in New Orleans, there's probably not a basement. So.
No. All right. Very cool. Well, maybe you'll see some of these oldest buildings along with some industry pros next week as you're walking around downtown NOLA. But without further ado, let's get into some highlights, some headlines that happened this week.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, we've all been talking about it, right? The RealPage lawsuit has been talked about since last year, correct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Essentially, the Attorney General of Maryland in June here has expanded the lawsuit, is targeting some additional landlords using software that drove up housing costs by upwards to $130 a month.
Yes. Camden Equity, Harbor Management Group, and Trinity Property Consultants were added to this. And I think there were already like four or five maybe before, some of the big players we know, a couple smaller ones. I wonder if this is just going to keep kind of as more research or more litigation happens. I wonder if there'll be more and more involved in the landlord, naming of this, because, it's easy to go after a big target like a Greystar, but as you're, uncovering something, it's a little harder to see that, Trinity Property Consultants was involved. But as you pull back these layers, I wonder if it's going to keep expanding.
Yeah, I kind of consider, of course, the initial shockwave, right? The initial, earthquake of this has come and gone, but I think we're continuing to see aftershock type effects. And it's just going to come down to the state attorneys who are just going to keep going after, both local and regional landlords who are allegedly fixing prices, driving up prices.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, it's definitely an update there, though. Still,
that's a good point that it's not as big of a Scuttlebug, because this has been talked about for such a long time. And so even though they may continue to add even large companies, I don't know if it's going to get the same traction as when the news first broke. So good call out there. Well, I'm sure people are tired of talking and listening to the both of us talk. We're approaching episode 100, so I'm almost positive they are.
Yeah, well, I think there's actually an interesting fact. I think at this point we have about 5,000 views every week of our content. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I get 5,000 DMs of hate mail on average a month. So it kind of balances out.
This checks out.
But we have a
this
guest
checks
today.
out. Everyone contacts me when they want to do business with us, but they yell at you when they're pissed off.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. So we have a guest today.
And we did get our first retraction request.
We did.
About a week
we'll
ago,
talk about that at the Centennial. Let's not save all the big news for today, Eric. Let's not use all the big news.
No.
All right. So this is the third time I've been trying to segue to our guest, and I wonder if you're going to pick it up. We have a guest joining us today.
What are you putting down? I haven't picked up what you're putting down.
Watch it back. Who's our guest?
So, our guest is someone who is quite familiar with the multifamily industry. And, he's someone who understands the player coach type attitude that you have to have the give and the take. So we'll bring on
What's up, guys?
Teddy.
How's it going?
Teddy?
Hey, appreciate it. How's everything going?
It's going great. How are you?
You guys are hilarious. I guess I didn't realize that. That's kind of like a satire.
That's
right?
our main. That's our main.
That the goal? That is the goal. Right?
This is the thing. Yeah.
Don't spill the secret. No. Well,
we're still trying to find out who's Colin Jost and who's Michael Che. But other than that,
yeah, let's not go there, Eric. Let's not go there.
We're not going to
appropriate it.
I think for episode 100, it should be the roast of the multifamily. That would be cool.
That's a good
I could dig that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I like that idea.
That's kind of our April Fool's show, but we could do that like on steroids. But well,
we
Teddy,
could definitely do that on steroids.
I thought that would be hilarious, right?
For those of us that don't know you, why don't you introduce yourself? Sort of, what part of the world are you coming, dialing in from, and tell us a little bit more.
For sure. Teddy Abdelmalek. I'm the Senior Vice President of Business Development for HH Redstone Property Management. We're an owner-operator nationwide, and we have about $1 billion under asset management. So still relatively small. I mean, obviously that's a lot of properties and a lot of investments, but in the grand scheme of everything, still a boutique owner and operator. Really, my focus and scope is to really bring our award-winning platform to other owners of real estate, both in student housing, multifamily, affordable, mixed use, and senior housing. So we're in a lot of different asset classes. And sometimes that's a great thing because you're able to really pull the best practices of what's happening in one asset class and incorporate it to multifamily, for example, right? I really feel like at the end of the day, student housing has really given us a lot of horsepower on the multifamily side, and has really, what really works best to really drive that resident engagement, for example, right? So.
Yeah, that's very cool. I've been around in this industry a long time, and it's definitely nice to see the student housing vertical emerge as its own thing, because I think back early on, it was sort of this afterthought for a lot of companies, a lot of technologies, a lot of that. I'm curious where you're based out of, Teddy.
So yeah, I'm based in Kansas City, center of the country. Nice. I can go East Coast, West Coast pretty easily. HH Redstone is based in Silver Spring, Maryland. So they're based in the Northeast. A lot of the assets are also in the Northeast, but like I said, we operate nationwide. We have properties in California, in the Midwest, in Georgia, and what have you. So really my goal is to scale that portfolio and really bring owners that really need some more attention and focus that may not necessarily get that from the bigger players in the space.
So if you're in Kansas City, do you go closer to Texas and go for Spurs, or do you go towards the Knicks because that's what everyone seems to be going towards?
I have some loyalty to the Northeast, just, with friends and family in the New York area. I would definitely say the Knicks are probably the team to root on. So more or less just because, they're somewhat seen as the underdog, especially in the last game. I mean, what an incredible Cinderella story to be had.
Yeah, I know that Mayor Mamdani has been trying to push as much as possible, not only to boost his credibility, but always nice to come in your first year of being mayor and have your home team win.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that would be pretty sick. So
tell look, I mean, I'll segue with the Knicks here. So, the Knicks have had an uphill battle, right? They have not been at the big dance for decades at this point. So tell me, what are some of the challenges that you're going through when you're trying to scope out, companies to, acquire? You're looking at acquiring.
Well, I mean, basically stepping into the management role, right? So all too often, the management companies of today, and there's some really great ones, don't get me wrong, but the majority of the management companies that are operating in real estate today are only worried about scaling, and they're not necessarily worried about asset performance, because really at the end of the day, it's a function of revenue that they're getting paid and not necessarily a function of expenses. So they're really focused on getting you to 100% occupancy, really driving that revenue. But that in of itself does not mean that your asset is performing, right? You guys agree with that, right? It's a double formula, right? Revenue and expenses equals your NOI, right? And all too often, there's this preconceived notion that you get to 100%, month after month, but you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars getting to that 100%. And especially in student housing, for example, if you get to 100% in that escalated time frame and you're leasing up to 100% in January when folks are moving in August, you're definitely leaving money on the table, and you're just leasing for the sake of leasing, and it's an easy process, and you're not really challenging yourself to drive that revenue even higher. That's where that complacency happens with management companies, and you're just doing it for the sake of scaling versus the asset performance. So something that we look at differently is that our management fee is a function of the NOI. That means you get our attention, our focus, and you sometimes get that sweat equity to getting the property across the finish line. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at, where are the properties that need the most help? Markets that we're already in are easy lifts for us because we're performing well. And then where are some markets that we want to get into, tentatively? Let's start managing, and then we can be a natural buyer because we're an owner as well to help that owner exit in the event that they want to. So.
Yes.
Cool?
So I was waiting. We don't understand anything you said, Teddy. I didn't know. I didn't know if I thought Eric was going to talk, but you mentioned a few things, but just to kind of re-paraphrase. So if somebody, I like the notion of performance, and I think you're right. I think a lot of times people don't talk about how things are performing. If you're in your shoes, or if you're somebody that's in a similar situation as you, what are a couple big things that they should look for in terms of turning around performance or making performance better?
Yeah, I mean, we have a I mean, we're talking about the secret sauce now, right? Of property management, and it's a very simple concept, but very hard to execute, and that's kind of where we come in. We have the mindset, we have the intention and the notion to drive this, and you'll see that that secret sauce, if you will, was directly related to us becoming a top 10 student housing operator, just announced a couple months ago. And we're, right beside the Gray Stars and the Assets and the Cardinals of the world, right? So that should tell you that something we're implementing is working. And I'll share that with you. And for all the listeners that are listening, you want to write this down, right? That you want to treat your residents with a resident experience. You want to treat them, you want to create an experience that is so profound that they want to live at your property. It's not just out of necessity, that they seek you out and want to live at the community that you've created. And you say, well, how do you do that? You create an experience that the residents are treated as if they are the owner, the investors of the property. Can you imagine how that would feel, right? You are the owner of the property and I'm treating you as the owner, but you are a resident at the asset. So that means, Justin, every single time I see you at the property, I know you. Maybe I know your pet's name. Maybe I know your family. I know what you're going through. I know where you work, and those are just some of the simple things that transcend into reputation, that transcend into retention and renewals, and really create a community at the property that you live in, right? So all too often, we know that ownership is coming and we know regional managers are coming to visit the property. So we clean up the property, we make sure everything looks great. And then the very next day, after everyone that's important has left, it goes back into its normal routine, right? Trash piles up. We don't stock the computer lab. The refreshments are all over the place in the office. Nothing is kept up. But if we treat it with the same mindset that our residents are the owners of the property, that is the key to having a successful asset. It's simple, but it's kind of crazy that it can't be executed as simple as that, right? So, what are your thoughts on that?
I'll say something quick and then I'll let Eric go. I think it's sometimes those simple things, right? It's like making a good meal. It's like make a good meal that tastes good. That's obviously what you need to do, but the actual doing it takes skill, takes learning, takes a lot of different pieces to kind of put all that together. So I think you're spot on. And I think people maybe don't know that enough, but they definitely aren't always executing it well. So good points.
I think they want to do that. They just don't, because it's hard to do, right? They're taking the path of least resistance and complacency. And, it's like, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. It's a variety of different excuses, if you will, that don't drive value to the property. So what were you going to say, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts on this is it's easy to think of, a resident as, they're paying, like they're the customer at the end of the day. Yeah. Your boss might ask you to do things, but at the end of the day, they're the ones paying everyone's bills, right? So
absolutely,
you're taking that mindset and just adding that much more value, right? Don't treat each resident as, paying a fraction. Treat them all as the owners.
Exactly.
Right? 'Cause they're paying in to this asset. Ultimately, yes, legally they don't get ownership, at least not in the model that most folks have, But for their term, I mean, this is a very interesting way to elevate, everyone. It allows, this is a concept that allows your team to grab a hold of. Absolutely. From everything from, maintenance to leasing, everyone on site to everyone centralized, sitting in a nice, nice cubicle somewhere in Kansas.
And I'll share this with you, right? We are, we have a billion under asset management, right? That is a large number, right? And we are a real estate company, but we don't even say that. We say we're a customer service company. We just happen to lease apartments, right? Just like any other national brand that has sway, right? They always treat their customers first, and that's how they get the prestigiousness associated with their brand, right? And then the other thing I was going to say is that, you know, when you look at it overall, right, that customer service piece really plays into hospitality and how you incorporate some of these hospitality traits. And that's what I was saying. When you look at the hospitality asset class, you're really able to steal a lot of things to use in multifamily and student housing. I mean, humans amongst everything love hearing their name. I mean, it's like top 3 things. And then they love—
Tell me more, Teddy.
Eric, they love that you know that their pet's name, right? And they love when they hear their name. So why not implement that into what you're doing on a daily basis? I mean, kindness is a business aspect that is totally underrated. Like, if everyone was just more kind at the property, it's like you're behind in your rent, and versus me just like, you know, giving you the 9th degree on when you're going to pay rent. If I was just a little bit more kind, everything else would transcend. You know, it's all part of that resident experience, right? So I think we were alluding to kind of the Knicks and how's this relate to real estate. You know, the Knicks just didn't show up on game day and say, hey, we're going to play this game, right? The coach didn't just show up and say, hey, I guess we're going to do our best, right? No, they obviously studied the opponent. They understood the strengths and the weaknesses of the opposite team. They built a plan. They made adjustments. Obviously, as we saw, they were down a considerable amount, right? But they were able to motivate their team, hold everyone accountable to the overall result that they wanted to see happen, right? And this is exactly what strong property management does as well, right? The property is the team. The owner of the property is the franchise owner. The residents are the fans and the scoreboard at the same time, right? You hear that? The residents are the fans and the scoreboard. Hence why I was alluding to they are the reputation, which is the scoreboard, and the residents are the fans. And if you treat your fans as if they are the owners of your team, I mean, the possibilities are endless. You know, they hype up the players. They are the reason why the Knicks won. They put so much motivation and passion behind them coming from the brink of such a deficit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and this is why when fans walk out of a stadium, right?
Yeah,
Teddy, when fans walk out of a stadium, that's your sign that you're not performing. They're leaving.
Right. They leave early, right?
They leave early. They paid. Yeah. They paid the whole time, and they're like, "Nah, I'm good at 10 months. I'm good. I'm out."
So a good property management company knows when to make the right play, right? And that's what we're talking about, right? Sometimes it means pushing rents. Sometimes it means protecting occupancy. Sometimes it means changing the marketing strategy. But, you know, maybe it means, you know, tightening expenses, because that's what I was alluding to, right? Or just rebuilding trust with your fan base. This is what we plan on doing. We love your support. Let's make it about the fan experience, right? And it's a powerful and an intense thing when you look at it that way, because, you know, most people can relate to sports. You know, we're motivating and we're getting behind a cause. And I think that is powerful in of itself.
Yeah. And that motivation is you're basically creating that the moment, right? So your strategy is what you're doing the prep for. And I think there's the quote that says, you know, success happens when strategy meets the moment. So you're kind of creating both things to exist by that model. It's very smart. And yeah, you get rallied around a cause. And speaking of causes, I think there's some other stuff that you are doing for this industry, right?
Yeah. You know, we've been in extensive conversations, and I think we're getting ready. And I've had previous relationships with this organization. It's called the Hi, How Are You project. And given, my background is in student affairs, higher education student affairs. So this really hits really close and near to my main passion of helping students and really creating that resident experience. Like I said, the Hi, How Are You project is a nonprofit initiative promoting mental health awareness and community connection through, like we were alluding to, that conversation, that creativity, and that self-care of us as humans, right? And a lot of people could say, hey, we implement all this technology and all of this AI, but I would argue that AI should actually allow you to remove yourself from behind the screen and create a human to human interaction with you as your residents, to the management, and really create that resident experience. AI is not going to create that resident experience for you, right? It will supplement those conversations, but really AI should take you away from the screens that we're all hiding behind, right? It should allow us to get face to face and actually have a human conversation.
Awesome. Thank you, Teddy. Appreciate your thoughts, and thanks for letting us know about the Hi, How Are You project.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Teddy.
Awesome. We'll see you in New Orleans.
Yeah, I'll see you in New Orleans.
All right.
Are you ready?
We got a lot to cover in a short amount of time here.
Well,
so let's get to it.
We'll get through it. We'll go back and forth. You share something, I'll share something. We'll get a few things done here.
Yeah, we'll get it going here. So Zego put together their resident experience report. You can snag that here. Scan the QR code, or just go ahead and search for Zego 2026 Resident Experience Management Report.
Yes, there's some other industry highlights. Get 100 acquired Cobblestone, which is a New York a fraud income verification tool that's been around for a little bit. So that's now part of the 100 platform. They also notably, which is probably what more people noticed, was borrowed or played upon the Got Milk campaign from my youth, and had some ambassadors talking about their solutions with a faux, I'm assuming, milk mustache.
Yes, and Apartmentalize has been busy pumping out some beta products. They launched Sunny, which is essentially a platform that pays you to rent. They're dipping their toes in there, trying to make residents happy for doing it the new way. They believe that renters are outgrowing the old system. Basically claiming, look, 40% of Americans rent. Most of them will rent again. And some of them will rent for the rest of their lives, because that's what we're starting to see. People are just renting for longer periods now. So they decided, well, hey, why don't we make this more of a handheld, fun way to search? So they also launched Colaneta for apartment search as well.
Yes. And Anthony Colaneta talked about 32 playbooks, speaking of playbooks, for a multifamily operator. So he teased one. You can DM him for more. But basically, what are real questions that operators ask, basically, was sort of the concept there. So he actually mapped it out, I'm sure, with a good use of AI a little bit. And he has 32 of them. So grab your hands on those.
Oh, yeah. What else do we got here? Oh, my gosh. Google released new information on ranking for generative search. Ann Baum covered this information. It does apply to multifamily. Absolutely. So, a lot of folks who are in the marketing and leasing departments should be taking a look at this and understanding, does SEO actually matter with generative search? Too long, don't read. Yes, it does. Absolutely does. And there's some ways to optimize using Google's information.
Nice. And there's been some celebrations this week or appreciations. Several companies were focusing on maintenance appreciation, service team appreciation week. A couple companies also noted that it was their resident appreciation week. And Lisa Trojan had some thought leadership around appreciation days or weeks and asked, is there room for regional manager appreciation on our calendars anywhere? Because right now, there isn't, that we aren't really doing that, but we should, which is a great little thought piece there.
Yeah. And Robbie Hendricks, on the lighter side here, Robbie Hendricks had a post about one of his first properties. This is, metal versus brick. And brick did not win on this one.
No, that looks like the side of a Ripley's Believe It or Not. like they need to start selling tickets. If you want additional revenue, if you're looking for ancillary revenue, they need to turn that corner into like a fun house. Like that's crazy.
Well,
that's bad.
Justin, the crazy thing is this is something that is not a one-time thing. Joe Rinderknecht posted his photo of someone driving through a property. So to me, this is just amazing. There's a guy named Jason Appel who talks about that. So yeah, the rent payment drive-through, baby.
There you go. Well, that's
got
awesome.
it. Love it, Teddy. Love
it. Crazy. Awesome. Oh. So what's going to wrap us up here, sir?
Well, the podcast Palooza is officially at capacity.
Yes.
Where you can still register, but this is going to have over 300 multifamily professionals. Just register, get your name on the list. Hopefully we can get you in. This is on Tuesday night next week in New Orleans. Justin and I will be there, and we'll be hanging out with our good friends from Supply. We'll bring our desk.
Yeah,
we're going to bring our desk.
Going to bring our desk, which we don't have. We've never had, but we actually will have one now because it's our live
we're going to have a
desk
here.
Yeah. There is space for owner operators. I know Multifamily Media Network tries to keep that vendor count, supplier count pretty low. So you really have to be a sponsor or connect some way to be included. But there's plenty of those folks that have paid or sponsored or involved in the conversation, which is great. And yeah, I think that's it. Well, we have to get ready and pack. I'm not packed.
I should probably go back
and get some like double deodorant.
That's a responsible way to use AI.
What, the whole video or the cats themselves using?
You tell me.
A brain teaser for our weekend. Love it.
All right, everyone. Y'all have a great